Welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast with author Sarah F. Hathaway and co-host Chen Gibson. Blending survival, fiction, and fact to bring you entertaining education that will help you dream, survive, and thrive. And now, here's your host, Sarah F. Hathaway and Chen Gibson.
Hello, and welcome back to the Changing Earth podcast. This is episode number 341, and we are checking out Little House in the Big Woods again today. Hey, Jim, what's up?
Hey, chin's up.
So I was going to say, like, what chapter number we're on, but it gets a little confusing sometimes because there's, like, the side story, like, little chapters, and so, I don't know. This one's called Long Rifle, or The Long Rifle, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there was, like, the story of Grandpa out in the woods with the panther, which was really,
that was a good one.
Yeah, that was pretty intense. I would be, solid gold Twinkie coming, but yeah, and then like the panther stays on the horse till he shoots him off of it. Oh, that's crazy. I'm just being.
You ever go out without your rifle?
Yep. Yeah, he did. He's paying for that one. So yeah, we're gonna be talking a little bit of rifles today, and panthers. Panthers, cougars, mountain lions, same beast. Different area of the world. So, we had many mountain lions in California, and it was a little uneasy sometimes. We were out for a hike one day, and we came across a fresh kill, pretty much, And I'm just with the boys, and I'm like, okay, I think it's time for us to turn around and go a different direction, like right now, because they'll leave it and come back for it.
Did you have your dogs with you, or a dog with you?
I believe I did. I think I had Sawyer with me at the time. Yeah, because
you hate to say that, but
yeah, and they know. Like that's one of the reasons why I love big dogs is because they tend to know like what's up, and and provide that protection for you.
Yeah, for sure.
So I found it very interesting. A few things when she was talking about the long rifle that Pa had, and this chapter was really all about that rifle and making bullets. So Pa had that long-handled spoon, and that was for melting the lead pieces, and then the box with the lead pieces, and then the bullet mold itself.
Yep.
So I'm sure they had to like buy the lead at like the general store or whatever.
With the furs, probably, right?
Yeah.
You'd go into town with a big old pile of furs and come home with stuff.
Yeah, true. So yeah, they would melt the lead in the big spoon, pour that in the mold. You wait a minute for it to cool. Out pops your little ball. And then he would trim it with his knife to get and save, of course, all the lead trimmings. Right. I saw a funny meme the other day, and it was like, you're about to find out why Grandma used to wash the Ziploc bags and the reused tinfoil, right? Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's truth. I spent a bunch of money on groceries this weekend because I was like, well, we might as well get them while they're this price, right?
Yep, self-insure.
Yep. I'll let you know how that bread, I'm going to do that bread starter, too, that we talked about last week. So I'll let you know how that goes. For sure. It just sounds fun. Sounds like a cool science project to do with the boys, too. Right? Let's see if it grows. So cleaning the gun. Pa used the cloth on the ramrod, of course.
Did you cringe when he cleaned the gun?
With the hot water?
Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, don't pour water down your barrel.
Right? I was like, what is that? Hot boiling water down the barrel.
It makes sense now, but I was like,
I didn't get a chance. It's not where my research focused either. So I didn't get a chance to like research the logic behind that and the hot water to make sure that it dried faster and everything.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah. It's got to be like scorching hot water so it evaporates real quick.
Oh, okay. I can see that. But man.
I know, right? I freak out when I bring mine out and it starts to drizzle.
Right? Yeah, and it's outside.
Or wipe it all down, and yeah.
I was in the same boat. I was like, I don't know about that. I do know that the black powder that they were using back then, because we have like the smokeless powder, But the black powder was just way thicker. It left a way thicker residue.
Much more corrosive,
on the weapon. Yeah. So I mean,
they would keep pouring. They would pour it.
Keep ramming it through there.
Yeah. The cloth through it. They pour it again until it finally came clean.
Yeah. I was like, what? And that's not getting down into the trigger mechanism, like, and rusting everything out. Like,
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe we'll have to get a hold of James Yeager. He'll be like, no, no.
Well, I mean, it's a whole different.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, we got to look for a black powder specialist.
And I'm sure
explain this.
Well, if they use caps, the trigger mechanism is probably all on the outside.
Well, and they didn't have. It was all on the outside. Yeah,
it was just a hole where the fire from the cap would ignite the powder.
Yeah, and shoot through there.
Yeah, right. It wasn't like an AR with that whole like.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true. With springs and all the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but they didn't have the cleaners. Like, we have a cleaner nowadays. So, like, it's a chemical compound.
He wiped it down with oil, though. So.
Right. And that's your rendered, what Ma was rendering, that grease. That's what you're using to clean it. And, I mean, that's where we would be if you depending on how much oil you stock up.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's basically where you're going to be unless you have a way of producing oil post-collapse. So, Nicole Appelian had said that about olive oil. I think I've said this on the air a lot, but yeah, to use the animal grease instead of the olive oil. So, and then of course loading, he always loaded his weapon because it took a long time to load, right? So you want to have it ready to go, which yes, it creates a little bit of danger, but
above the door, right?
Yeah,
but above the door.
Right, above the door, the kids aren't going to be able to reach it.
Yep.
So he'd measure out the powder from the cap, pour it in the barrel, then you put your grease patch down on top of that, the ball with the ball, ram that sucker down. And I've seen a lot of black powder rifles, and the flintlock to me always seemed like, I thought like all of them were flintlock for some reason.
No, they're the caps.
Yeah, and
most of the modern ones are caps.
She's already talking about caps back here, and this was early 1900s when this was all written and published and whatnot. And I was like, wow, that I didn't realize they had primer caps even back then. I thought it was like something that was newer so that you didn't have to use like the flintlock type stuff anymore. But no, they actually had them. The early 1800s is when they developed chemical type primers. I found that really, really interesting. So, of course, where do I start researching? Like, well, because my friend had a black powder gun and he bought it for like post-collapse scenario because then you could shoot always, be able to make your own powder and everything. And I'm like, well, what about the caps? How do you make like the caps? So where are you going to get those?
Yeah.
So you can buy like 1,000 of them for $75. So if you're planning on, right, if you're planning on like black powdering it post-collapse.
That's better than 22 rounds.
Exactly. I was like, okay, there you go. If I'm you, I'm probably just going to buy like 3,000 of those things right now and call it a day, Right. But you can make your own primers. I found this out. So there's legalities to this, people. A lot of legalities to this. So you're allowed to
do your own research.
Yeah, do your own research. I'm not going to tell you how to do it. We're just going to have a conversation
anything here on this show.
Right, exactly.
It's all historical.
And we're pondering. It's just a thought exercise. So there are significant legalities. You are allowed to make your own primers. However, you can't give them away or sell them. There's federal laws all over that. There's also legal restrictions to some of the chemicals and whatnot that you need to make them. So, and that varies by state, how much you're allowed to have on hand and how you have to store those chemicals. And then there's laws about making primers in your home, your garage, or your external workshop. More so than doing it at a commercial space. So that's one of the things that you really need to look into with like some quality legal assistance if you're ever going to do this for like practice or whatever. And then some of the chemicals that they use to make like commercially available primers are actually not legal at all. So you cannot buy them and use them. Okay. So now that we have the legals, hold on one second. I'm going to bring Ellen in. She wanted to come on the show today, and we're always happy to have Ellen. So let me grab her real quick. But yeah, so and a lot of these chemicals as well are very, very dangerous. So there was cautions all over about storing these chemicals and that kind of thing. So,
hey, you hear me?
Yep, we got you. All right,
Sweet.
so we're already kind of knees deep talking about how to make your own primers for cartridges and things like that. But for caps for black
powder.
Yeah, for black powder.
Oh yeah.
So I was explaining these chemicals, probably not allowed to have them at all in Australia. You can just check that right off the list. I'm probably allowed to have them here in Texas, but maybe.
Yeah, you can't even get reloading equipment right now.
Yeah, there you go.
Do you think the ammo situation is bad in America? It's 10 times worse here.
Fair enough. No Russian ammo going around right now either.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you guys are going to do this, I don't have the document to tell you on the air, but I will find it again and put it up because it was actually pretty interesting. So flintlocks were really unreliable, and especially if it was raining or it was damp out, which of course, right? Once the powder gets wet, it's not going to be as effective. So they first made percussion caps in the early 1800s, and they were widely used until the end of the Civil War. They were typically copper, partially filled with mercury fulminate, and other chemicals. So how about that? 1800s. Did you know that they went back that far, Chin? I didn't have no idea.
I did not.
I did not either. I thought it was like flintlock up to like, I don't know what I was thinking, honestly. So in 1857, that's when they came out with the self-contained metallic cartridge designed to put a primer in for a deformable hollow rim, which is your 22 short. And yeah, and the 22 short is still commercially available. It was first developed in 1857. I was like, yeah.
No.
Yeah. Yes.
There you go.
I know. I
think I saw a Sears and Roebuck ad for that when I was looking looking around for stuff for the show today.
Really?
There was a Sears and Roebuck, yeah, for it was a little 22 round.
Wow. Yeah, I had no idea it was that early. So all calibers used to be designed with the rim fire. But because you were limited to the amount of internal pressure you could create in there, you had to have the rim had to be, easy to break down. So it limited the amount of internal pressure you could get put inside of the bullet. That's why they went to a center fire model, which was so many. Oh, it's good learning day today. And then they made it so that you could remove the primer. So it was just more easy to reload. So cowboys, they were actually out reloading their old bullets, saving the casings and reloading them even back in the day. Really interesting stuff. And then your primers that you use, like even when we were reloading shotgun shells for trap, we just get rid of the old primers, right? But you can actually take those and reuse them, which I found really interesting. But they need to be really properly clean and prepared. You got to take the dimple out.
Yeah, I was going to say, because you get that where the hammer hits it, you get the little mark.
Right. And so you're still going to be able to see the mar, but if you hit it again from the backside, it'll take that dimple out and you can actually reuse them. So that was really interesting. So you can actually make a primer from the toy caps. You know, for the cap guns?
The red ones, the little red.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
They have a way of making primers, refilling your old primers with the material, like from 8 of those little caps. You refill the primer with it, put it back together, and boom, you can use that primer to actually shoot again.
There you go.
Right? I know.
You can hardly find those things anymore.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, and they have to be German made. They can't be the ones from China. He was like, don't even waste your time on the ones from China. But the ones that are made in Germany are really high quality, and they'll work a lot better. So, of course, there's a failure rate there because, you know, this is like winging it if you had to, right? And you can also refill your primers with the material from the Strike Anywhere matches.
Yeah.
And you want just the white stuff off the tip of it. And you fill it. It takes like 4 matches or so to fill up one primer, but you can use that material inside of a primer as well to remake a primer.
It'd be one thing to use that for hunting, but could you imagine, like, depending on
it when your life's on
your
the
house?
Well, if you had
Holy
nothing else,
I guess
maybe in a pinch. I mean, I'm still going to have my Eskrima sticks and all my martial arts knowledge and all that too. But
knives, arrows,
right. Yeah,
I need a bayonet on the end of my rifle.
That's true. The bow might be more reliable at that point. So, but both of those items, you're not going to get on any kind of a government watch list with those items. Now, there's another chemical. It's called H48. And if you order that, you probably will be on a watch list. And most of the other chemicals that you need to actually produce primers are really volatile, really dangerous, and you probably will end up on a government watch list, but you can do it. So I found that very interesting. It's like, how do you deal with it after, you know, everything's gone? What do you do?
Well, you need to go back to the flint and steel.
Right, but if you don't have a firearm that's designed to do that, then you're in the same boat, right? Now all you have is a club without ammo. I mean, right? So, okay, so then it went into, of course, making gunpowder. And if you can believe it or not, WikiHow had an article on this. I'm like, I got to check this out because, you know, WikiHow, right? But it's actually much easier than you think to make gunpowder. You need saltpeter, which is potassium nitrate. And they used to get it from like bat guano or horse urine. But it is the material that the chemical that they use in stump remover. So if you're at a hardware store, the stump remover will say saltpeter, niter, N-I-T-E-R, or potassium nitrate on the back. That's the one. You can buy it online. Or cold packs actually have potassium nitrate in them, like the cold packs that you buy to put on wounds and stuff. Alternatively, if you want to make it yourself, you can do that from your own urine. So this was interesting. So you fill a drum that has been equipped with a drain and a valve and a filter at the bottom, and you urinate into it. You top it off with water. You wait 10 months, and then you dry it on trays. And what you're going to be left with is saltpeter, or that's, you know, potassium nitrate. So that was...
Start now,
because you might need it later. So that's what they used to use horse urine, right? Because horses go a lot of... They pee a lot. So there you go. And you need charcoal. Charcoal, you can just buy it at your store. You can use a standard grade charcoal. It works. You're going to if you want to make it yourself, get a metal drum, fill it with willow or another type of wood, and then put the drum on the fire with a loose lid just for airflow. And you keep it on the bonfire for about 4 to 6 hours, and you'll have beautiful charcoal inside your drum.
Yeah.
Yep. And then you need elemental sulfur. And so elemental sulfur is used to acidify soil. And you can find it just at any garden store. And it's mined in Texas, Louisiana, Italy, and other places. So once you have your 3 chemicals, then you're going to finely grind all the ingredients with like a mortar and pestle, and clean your mortar and pestle in between each different chemical. And then they said you could use a ball mill if needed. I'm not quite sure what a ball mill is, but that's if you're making a lot of it, and that grinds and mixes for you. And then they had the percentages in there. It's like 75, say, saltpeter. 74.8% saltpeter, 13.3% charcoal, and 11.9% sulfur. And then you're going to dampen the ingredients, because when you dampen the ingredients, they're not as volatile. And this is where you have to start being careful. No smoking, no heating around it, no anything like that around your black powder. You dampen the ingredients and then you mix them together. If you're using the mortar and pestle, you do that for like 10 minutes. And then if you're using the ball mill, you want to mix your charcoal and sulfur first for 4 hours, and then saltpeter, add that, do it for 24 hours. And then they add water to that mixture. Up to 8% of the mixture becomes water. And this will form a ball that's like a thick clay ball. And then you run that through a sieve, like your kitchen sieve, and it'll break it into the little granules that you see. That's how you do gunpowder. I was like, well, that's not as tough as I've seen on everything. I think it's because the guy was trying to use like his own pee and stuff, and he was a wacko. So, yeah.
Sounds like an episode that Bear Giles. He was always running around naked peeing on stuff.
Well, male urine keeps the animals away.
Pea is actually very, very good for citrus. So I'll be using my pea for my citrus trees.
Interesting. Remind me not to eat your citrus if I ever... No, I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. No,
if you have you're setting out your chicken coop and stuff like that, plant citrus in your chicken coop, because the chicken manure is fantastic for citrus as well.
There you go. Yeah, we just moved our coop over today and found a nest of like 25 little baby mice living under the feed container. Yeah.
Would have been carnage.
They drowned. Yeah, they all drowned, quite unfortunately.
They went swimming.
Yeah, I made them a pool, and I didn't realize they couldn't get out of there.
They couldn't swim.
So
I would have just left the chickens at it.
Yeah, it was behind the chicken coop, we have like the storage thing there, the big like Tupperware container. Yeah, it was back underneath that. So,
okay.
Yeah. We had the coyotes come in at the chicken coop last night. And,
oh, really?
Yeah, and dug out all like under the door and stuff. One of them, I think it was just stress because she wasn't feeling good anyway. So one chicken did die. And so we moved the whole chicken coop over another section so they have fresh green grass and it's not dug out. The ground's all, hardened and whatnot there. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was awesome. Let me tell you.
I'd imagine. Really?
So. All right. Well, black powder rifles. You ever used one?
I have not, no. There is a black powder club here.
Okay.
And you can go out and actually get dressed up in their
Oh yeah, like the old 1800s stuff. Yeah.
But, I haven't been interested in it, but
me neither.
Maybe I should get interested in it now.
Yeah.
I've fired it a couple times. It's pretty cool. It's like this big plume of smoke. You feel like you're like in Revolutionary War or something. when you shoot it, it's like yeah.
I bet that takes the aim down a little bit when it's all smoky all over the battlefield from all that going off.
The fog of war.
Yep. Yeah. No, some of the it was interesting reading about the primers though, because some of the chemicals along the way, the first chemical they had was a mercury, that mercury fulsamate or whatever. It was actually making the brass brittle. And so you couldn't reuse the cartridges because it would corrode the brass and make the brass brittle, and then the brass would crack. So they started using this other chemical. It was like sulfur or something. And when they switched from black powder to smokeless powder, because the black powder wasn't leaving that residue, it started corroding the barrels really, really badly. And so they figured out that they noticed it more when the black powder residue wasn't there. It was actually protecting the metal, which was really interesting. So now they've switched their formula up altogether, and now they have new green formulas and whatnot, so it doesn't contain heavy metals. And yeah, if, you know,
still going to be lead though that we're firing. So.
I didn't realize well, no, sometimes it's not.
Now they're even plastic or coated or
one thing from Dr. Chamberlain when I had him on my show years ago, we talked about bullet wounds. A lot of the times he was saying like Hollywood is so far off on their bullet wound, like, oh, we got to get the bullet out of there. No, you don't. You know, you don't have to get the bullet out of there unless it's like sitting in a joint and preventing movement, or, you know, it's well, if it's in your heart, you're dead. But you know what I'm saying? Like, you don't, if it's just in your body, you don't necessarily have to remove that. What you want to do is make sure that the clothing and any kind of shrapnel that went in with it is out of there. And then you can just leave that bullet in there and the body will form scar tissue around it. And you won't even get lead poisoning because it forms this protective case around it. And you can live with the bullet in you for forever.
I've read that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been like crazy cases of people who got shot in the head and like never even realized it. And then they had like weird headaches and stuff, and then figured out that they actually got like shot in the head in the past.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. I was like, how would you not know that? Like, oh, there was a commotion in town and I thought I just got hit and you were actually shot in the head. Okay. Well, we got to get out of here anyway. We've done enough jaw jackings and diddly squats for one show. So
yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and put the site that I used to reference for that primer. It's a cool PDF download. So if you guys are interested in that, come on over to the blog description and I'll have it over there. Cause you know, I just did like a highlights off of it. And if you really want to get down to the nitty gritty and all the science of it and everything, it's there for you. So good stuff to have in a binder, I guess, like in case you needed it, you know, for the future. So you never know. All right. Well, that about takes care of it. Oh, website is www.changingearthseries.com, changingearthseries.com. So that's where you're going to find it at. Go to the podcast and just go to like latest episodes. You'll find it there. There's buttons all over the place. If you can't figure it out, well, I don't know. All right. So everybody enjoy yourself. Thank you, Ellen, for coming on the show. Always a pleasure, as always.
All right.
When I saw all the Australia stuff, I was like, yep, come on, Ellen. So perfect.
I very rarely have a Monday off. So yeah.
Happy to have you with us. All right. Until next time, remember, dream,
survive,
thrive.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining Sarah and Chen for this episode of the Changing Earth podcast. Don't forget to pick up your copy of Day After Disaster at www.authorSarahFHathaway.com. If you love the Changing Earth series and podcast, become